For the first tip, it's quite stupid, but if you want to grind as fast as possible, use the strongest thing available in the game. Currently, that's the BP-50, for example. But that doesn't only include weapons. You can also use the strongest tactical and lethal equipment, which are, for example, the Molotov and gas grenade. Or if you play the objective, that will be the trophy system. And that's not even the end of it. The secondary weapon you use is also something that's important, whether you want to use an FHJ for destroying score streaks, or a thumper to blow up vehicles, or melee to run faster. If you want a true secondary, you can use the Pocket KRM, the Shorty, or the Pocket SKS, the J358, or the Pocket Fennec, the machine pistol. The operator is crucial. It also depends on whether you play objective game modes or kill death game modes. For example, what we can call individual operators are great for KD game modes because you might be able to get 4 or 5 kills without dying, like with the Equalizer or the Annihilator. The misdirection device or the kinetic also fit that description, but with these last two, you'll get fewer kills per operator but more operator uses per game. If you want something better for team play, so objective game modes in general, you can use the Sparrow, War Machine, Reactor Core, even though we all hate that one, Gravity Vortex, etc. That also applies for the perks, and lastly, the score streaks, which are objectively what can truly turn a game around. A pre-nerf Flame Knot could literally win you a game by itself. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's cool and all, but what else can I do to absolutely crush it in ranked? Well, get ready to take some notes because today we're going to give you 10 tips to help you grind ranked faster in Call of Duty Mobile. These tips cover everything from gameplay strategies and weapon choices to optimizing your performance and even taking care of your health. So sit tight and get ready to dominate your lobbies. Before we dive into the rest of the 10 tips, here's a quick bonus tip to get you started. Fine-tune your settings, HUD, sensitivity, and loadout. Make sure everything feels comfortable and suits your playstyle. This might take some experimenting, but trust me, it's worth it. If you need some inspiration, check out the videos we made on these topics. Tip number 2 is actually 2 tips at once. Either you want to optimize your win rate or your amount of points per game. First case scenario, win rate. You need to avoid being too good. If you can win a game by being at the bottom, without doing a single kill, just enjoy the free win. If the game is looking like an L right from the beginning, don't suffer trying to go too hard and let it be. You're not meant to win every single game. And if the game is close, try a bit harder and win it. By doing that, you can sit at around 65 to 70% win rate, but because you'll get big losses after each defeat and not so big rewards after each win, it might look like you're not grinding that fast. If you want to just maximize the amount of points per game, we're in the second case scenario. Try stealing the MVP as much as possible. Use UAVs, counter UAVs, anything that can give you points passively. Playing either the objective or looking to slay will get you a ton of points. That way, even if you lose, you can still gain some points if you're not too high in legendary, and if you win, you'll get way more points than if you just let your teammates win it for you. But this will feel unrewarding because you'll get weaker teammates in general, or more precisely, you'll feel like your teammates are not playing well enough. Tip number 3 isn't necessarily a tip, but more like information that you need to know. Solo queue is when you'll have the easiest lobbies. Duo queue and trio queue will get you tougher lobbies because you'll be playing against other duos or trios, and they might be giving comms in a voice chat. Groups of 4 are the worst way to grind fast because you'll get matched up against groups of 4 and 5 stacks, but you'll have a random player in your team who will not be in voice chat with you. That means for synergy in the team for approximately the same skill level, so unless he's carrying you, it'll usually be a lost match. And lastly, 5 stacks are usually when you encounter the most competition. And if you go against a scrim team, a ranked warrior team, or a pro team, unless you're in 1-2, you will get absolutely smoked. So my advice would be try playing in solo, duo, and trio. If you're playing in duo or trio, be aware that the enemy duo or trio will play together by giving comms, etc. And that's something that could affect the way you have to reposition yourself or play rotations, spawns, or spawn traps. Tip number 4, which is a complement to a tip later in the video, you need to have a diverse weapon pool. By that, I mean you need to be able to use different weapons. But being able to use the CX line and the Fennec wouldn't be useful, for example, since they serve the same purpose, but being able to use the Odin and the Fennec would be way more interesting. Being able to use shotguns and snipers also makes you really versatile. That way you'll be able to play long range or close range depending on the map, but also depending on what your teammates use. Fifth one is a bit more tricky. If you're not in the mood to grind 20 hours a day, try grinding when the lobbies are easier. Let me explain. In Europe, for example, people are scrimming between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. So if you play between 8 and 9, you'll go against people who are actively playing scrims. If you play after 11, you'll go against those same scrim players who are now warmed up and just chilling in ranked. Ranked warriors usually play in the evening too, and a little bit less during the afternoon. So if you have a not too busy schedule, you can try to play in the morning, in the afternoon, and before 8 p.m. in the EU, for example. Obviously, depending on the region or country, life habits aren't the same, so it might differ a bit, but that gives you an example. Tip number 6, adapt to your teammates. It's quite in contradiction to the next tip, but if there are already 3 people playing inside the objective, try playing for spawns, map control, and rotations. If in S&D there are already 2 snipers, try creating space for them by using an SMG or an AR. If your mates are playing a trophy system, use smokes or concussion grenades. Being good at adapting makes you a good teammate, and a good teammate is always a good player in a team game. 7th thing you want to do is play for the win. This sounds stupid, but let me explain. In hardpoint and domination, play the objective. If you're in a duo or trio, tell your teammates to play the objective when you're playing for the spawns or map control. If you're playing TDM or frontline, play for your KD since it's the thing that makes you win games in those modes. In Search and Destroy, it's different obviously because the objective or KD doesn't mean everything, but you get the point. And if control comes back again, here again you can either play for your KD or for the objective, but either way, don't try going for clips or anything since that's not what's giving you elo points at the end of the game. Tip number 8 isn't a gameplay tip, but a health tip. If you play while you're tired, obviously you won't do well. If you play right after eating, you'll be digesting so you won't be as good. If you play without having eaten in over 10 hours, you'll be hungry so you won't be efficient. If you play on under 2 hours of sleep, you'll be a walking negative KD. And if you did all of that correctly, try to take a break every 60 to 90 minutes. It doesn't need to be a long one, but having a 10-minute break can help you stay focused and efficient, even if you play for 5 hours. It's the same reason why it's recommended to take a break every 90 minutes when you're driving. That logic is for safety reasons, but obviously, it applies to gaming efficiency, studies, or pretty much anything. For number 9, you need to play as many different game modes as possible. I'm going to say this, but I'm not sure about it, but it feels like skill-based matchmaking is a little bit kinder when you select different game modes. Also, it'll reduce your queue time, and at the same time, it'll give you a passive elo boost whether or not you win the game, because you selected many different game modes. Obviously, if you're not sure that you won't win a single hardpoint game, don't select it, but try selecting at least 3 different ones. Tip number 10, use the BP50. What's your number 1 tip to ranking up fast? Let me know down in the comments below. If you don't want to use the BP50, you can check out our top 10 guns for season 10 by clicking the video on the left.